feel like a lot of landlords do have negative connotations
around rent to rent.
No, just like people have negative connotations towards landlords in the whole
Yes.
paying for their mortgage or whatnot.
Yes. This is landlords do get a very bad rep. Like it's
on social media.
Because we live in a culture. What's funny and what's interesting to me is that we live in a society where it's ingrained in you from when you're young, like, you know, go to school, get a good job, buy your house. Like that is like the three main goals that everyone in kind of Britain has, owning your own home. But then the minute you want to own a home as an investment, you're seen as the bad guy, which I don't quite get. I personally, so I own my investment property, but I rent where I live. And that's mainly because I've just always seen property as an investment. I don't really care for, I mean, in the future, I'll buy a house to live in when I want to start a family. But at the moment, I'd rather spend money buying properties that are investments, that are assets and can make money. I think there are some landlords who are literally just in it for the money and don't even care about the service that they're providing. They will, you know, try and make a room out of a cupboard, or like, you know, stick tenants, you know, under the stairs and stuff like that. And so you do get those landlords, who obviously are not good landlords. But I always try and be, you know, fair with my tenants, particularly at times like this where tenants are going to be struggling to pay rent and stuff. If you're going into property as an investment, you'd have to be aware that you will be vilified a little bit. Which is it's crazy, because we are providing homes and we're providing shelter, but you're seen as the mean person. And property is a business at the end of the day. You know, any other business venture, if someone needed to get their money and was chasing you for their money, people wouldn't see it as a bad thing. But the minute you're a landlord and you're chasing someone for rent, it's like, oh God, you know. But it comes with the territory, so you have to be willing to take the good and the bad.
No, most definitely. And you said that you have bought property investments, but you rent where you live. Could you explain that, and why you chose to do that?
Yeah. So my goal in property has always been to develop. And back when I was starting out, I had a mentor who basically asked me what my end goal was. I said I want to develop. And to be a developer, or to achieve and get development finance, you need to be considered an experienced investor. And at the time, I was 23, turning 24. I had, you know, no property, no nothing. I'd worked in property, but I didn't have my own or anything. And I was actually considering going, you know, starting with rent to rent, because I was like, you know, something quick, we can get cash flow and, you know, build a business, and then maybe later down the line I'll buy property. But he just said to me, he kind of changed my mindset. He was like, okay, you know, if you want to be a developer, you need to own a property, you need to buy a property. And I started looking in London. Realised I could not afford London. And I went to university in Nottingham, and I knew the area. So I thought, okay, Nottingham property prices, or basically anywhere outside of London, but particularly in the Midlands and sort of above, properties are so cheap, like really cheap. So I thought, okay, I'll look into that. And that's kind of how I ended up buying in Nottingham, essentially. And so the whole reason for investing in property was purely for investment, and to be able to get onto the ladder so that I can then have more access to finance. I think that's what people don't understand. There's this rhetoric that, you know, when you're buying your first home, it has to be the most perfect home ever. Like people are like saving to try and get that, you know, 3-bed house or something in zone 3/4. But in reality, the more you're saving, the way inflation is going, you're almost chasing a moving target.
Literally.
You know what I mean? I found that getting onto the property ladder, just getting on it, affords you so much better access to, you know, let's say you bought a 1-bed or a 2-bed flat, you know, as your first property to live in. Maybe you want that 3-4 bed, but if you just buy that 1-bed now, do work to it, add value to it, maybe reconfigure it internally, create a 2-bed, a second bedroom. By the time you come to move to your, you know, your forever home, or the home that you've always dreamed of, your property's gone up in value. You know, when you sell that property to move into your new one, you've made money. So why stay saving when you could buy and almost like the next day your property could have gone up in value by 10, 20K. You've automatically like created money for yourself. So
everyone has just it's kind of like you said, it's been taught to us for our whole lives, basically, that you just buy a home to live in and that's it, literally. So I feel like now that not everyone, but people like yourself are doing something new and different, people are really reluctant to it and think it's a bit like weird because all they know is buying to live in.
Yeah. When you look at like European countries, to them renting there are people there that rent for their whole life.
Yeah.
But best believe they own a property that they, you know, for example, in Spain, I lived in Spain for 6 months when I was back in 2013.
Wow.
And the house of the woman that I was living in, she literally rented out all of her rooms to students, like students that were coming for like semesters abroad and stuff like that. Like she was making bank, like seriously, you know. So I think you just have to be smart with it, really.
No, definitely.